If we had to sum up the message of today's episode in one sentence, it would be this. Don't worry about things that might happen in the future because most of what you fear will never occur. In this episode, we're going to rewire your brain by appealing to some very ancient logic to help you stop worrying so much about things that might happen in the future. This is the fourth episode in our series on how to control your emotions by appealing to logic. And I want to make a quick announcement before we begin. Now let's get started. The first step to controlling your anxiety is to remember that you're safe right now. Take a moment to look around you. Notice all of the things that are present at this time that are making you feel safe. Maybe it's the roof over your head, the comfortable bed or couch that you're sitting on. Or maybe it's the loving family members or friends that are near you. Whatever it is, take a few moments to really appreciate it, to let yourself feel grateful for it. Why? Because oftentimes when we're feeling worried or anxious, we forget that we're actually in a safe place at this current time. Our minds have wandered into the future where we've imagined some sort of disaster befalling us. Or perhaps we've allowed our minds to go into the past and we're ruminating on some mistake that we made or some injustice that was done to us. Either way, the trick to getting rid of these thoughts is to use logic to bring you back to the present moment where you can remember that you're actually safe. Now let's move on to the next step. Imagine that there is a friend of yours that comes running up to you breathless and says, "Do you know how to swim? We're at the beach and a wave just knocked me over and I think I'm going to drown." What would you say to that person? Would you say, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if you can swim or not. I hope you don't drown. I don't know if anyone else knows how to swim either"? What you would do is you would say something like, "Yes, I know how to swim. Here, take my hand, I'll pull you out of the water. Your reaction in this scenario would be exactly the opposite of whatever it is that your mind is doing to you right now. When you're feeling anxious, your mind is imagining some sort of disaster happening in the future, and it's focusing on that disaster as if it's already happening to you in the present moment. So to snap yourself out of it, you need to use your rational mind to counteract those thoughts. In that previous example, you would tell your friend, "Don't worry, I've got you. It's going to be fine," even though you wouldn't actually know whether or not they could swim. You would also avoid saying things like, "Well, it's possible that you could drown. We'll just have to wait and see." Instead, you would focus on the solution and say something like, "I've got you, you're going to be okay." And that's exactly what you need to do with your own anxious thoughts. Whenever you catch yourself worrying about something in the future, you need to immediately say something to yourself along the lines of, "I've got this, I'll be okay." These might not be the exact thoughts that you have. Yours might sound more like, "I'll be okay, everything's going to be fine," or "I can handle whatever happens." Whatever it is, you need to say it to yourself like it's already happened. And then once you've said it, you need to refocus your attention on the present moment. Moving on to our third step, which is to accept uncertainty. There's a famous story about the philosopher Epicurus that illustrates this point perfectly. One day while he was walking through the marketplace, he saw two men arguing over a statue. One man insisted that the statue was made from bronze, while the other man insisted that it was made from gold. Epicurus stopped and asked them why they were arguing about something so trivial. They replied, "Because I say it's bronze and he says it's gold." Epicurus said, "But why don't you both agree that it's uncertain?" They responded by saying, "We can't agree on something that's uncertain." Then Epicurus dropped some coins into a nearby fountain and asked them, "What metal do you think these coins are made from?" The two men looked at the coins and said, "They're silver." To this, Epicurus said, "Why don't you agree that it's uncertain?" Confused, the two men said, "We can't agree on something that's uncertain." And then Epicurus pointed out the obvious. Here you are refusing to agree on something that's certain, but you were arguing about something that's uncertain. He then explained to them that oftentimes people spend far too much energy worrying about things that are outside of their control. He concluded by saying that you should only focus your energy on the things that are in your control, and you should deal with uncertainty by simply accepting it. So how can you apply this in your own life? Well, whenever you notice that you're feeling worried or anxious, ask yourself, is it in my control? If the answer is no, then it means that you're focusing your energy on something that's uncertain. And as Epicurus pointed out, the best way to deal with uncertainty is to simply accept it. Oftentimes our minds try to trick us into thinking that something in the future has already happened. For example, you might be watching the news and see a report about an upcoming storm heading your way. Suddenly, your mind might start to imagine you and your family members being blown away by the winds of the storm. Your mind might show you images of your house being destroyed or flooded. But remember, just because something might happen in the future doesn't mean that it's already happened. Use your rational mind to realize that right now you and your family are safe, and that the storm is still in the future. You might have to take some action later, but for now you're safe. Accept that there's uncertainty in your future, and that there are some things that you simply can't control. Don't let your mind trick you into thinking that the future has already happened. Our last step is to remember that your happiness is in your control. We tend to think that our happiness is dependent on things that are outside of our control, such as our job, our relationships, or the current state of the economy. But the truth is that our happiness is actually in our control. Think about it. Whether or not you're happy right now depends entirely on your attitude. It's the same as the glass of water example. A glass of water that's half full is the same as a glass of water that's half empty. It all depends on your attitude. So whenever you find yourself worrying about the future, tell yourself, my happiness is in my control. No matter what happens, I'll be okay. And if you need further proof of this idea, just look at the pandemic that happened in recent years. At the beginning of the pandemic, researchers began surveying people about how their happiness levels changed throughout the lockdown period. And the results were surprising. As you would expect, at the beginning of the pandemic, people reported feeling very scared and uncertain about the future. But after the initial shock wore off, people reported that their happiness levels went back to normal within a couple of months. Even though the pandemic is still ongoing, people realized that their happiness is in their control. Their happiness didn't depend on the virus, and they were able to find happiness even in the midst of the pandemic. To recap, if we had to sum up the message of today's episode in one sentence, it would be this: don't worry about things that might happen in the future because most of what you fear will never occur. The key to overcoming anxiety is to use your logical mind to snap yourself out of anxious thoughts. So whenever you feel anxious, remember to do the following 4 steps in order. First, remember that you're safe right now. Appreciate everything that's present in your life that's making you feel safe. Second, focus on the solution. Say something to yourself like, I've got this, I'll be okay. Third, accept uncertainty. Remember that not everything in life is in your control. And fourth, remember that your happiness is in your control. Just because something might happen in the future doesn't mean that it's already happened. So use your rational mind to snap yourself out of anxious thoughts. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and comment below with any suggestions for future episodes. And as always, thanks for watching.